Hey guys, are you trying to narrow down your home search, but you can't figure out the right criteria? I'm gonna throw a curveball in this video, and it's probably a topic that you haven't watched before on social media when it comes to real estate. I suggest focusing on inconspicuous goals for your home search rather than conspicuous. What do I mean by that? Examples of conspicuous criteria or features would be the square footage of your house, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, the size and layout and condition of the kitchen, the size of the driveway, how many cars can fit in your garage, is it a 2-car garage, 3-car garage, etc. The overall appearance of the facade, right? The curb appeal. These are conspicuous, meaning that they're very obvious to someone passing by your house or approaching your front door. Inconspicuous would be features that are not readily apparent. It will be things that you can take advantage of maybe in a more private setting. Maybe a quiet space for reading or art or something that relaxes you after a long workday. Maybe a space for the family to get together and share a meal in a room that's intimate and inviting and warm. This brings me to the next related topic, which is the hedonic treadmill. I love reading, and the book I'm reading now is called The Happiness Hypothesis by Jonathan Haidt. And in it, he writes that generally people end up happier when they focus on inconspicuous goals as opposed to conspicuous. So instead of aiming for the nicest car on the block or the fanciest house on the block, aim for things that will actually improve your quality of life. For example, a shorter commute, more time with family, more time for sleep, more time for hobbies and interests that actually bring you joy. There's studies that show this, like people that win the lottery will eventually revert back to whatever their level of happiness was before. People that get a Rolex watch will eventually revert back to however they felt a month prior, right? So that's what the hedonic treadmill is. It's also known as hedonic adaptation, meaning there's a temporary spike, whether up or down, right? Happy event or sad event. And then we revert back to the mean. We revert back to how we felt beforehand. On the flip side, inconspicuous things are things that bring truly lasting increase in level of happiness. So my advice would be this. As you keep your home search criteria in mind, put things in categories, right? Is this a conspicuous criteria or an inconspicuous criteria? And on a related note, I want to talk about two other ideas that kind of go hand in hand. Intrinsic motivators and extrinsic motivators. A lot of people, without even realizing it and without bringing enough awareness to it, when they think about their home search criteria, they're actually channeling other people's hopes and dreams and aspirations for them. As an immigrant to this country and having had a lot of clients who are immigrants to this country, I've experienced this firsthand, right? We internalize other people's wishes for us. And it's particularly true in immigrant communities, but I'm sure it applies to non-immigrant communities as well. So when you say, I want a house that's 4,000 square feet and in this fancy neighborhood and in this, blue ribbon school district, and I need 5 bedrooms and 5.5 baths, are you actually channeling your own intrinsic motivations, or are you simply channeling your parents or your relatives or your community's aspirations for you based on, maybe your occupation or where you come from? So I think it's important to separate the two. And again, this goes back to conspicuous versus inconspicuous. The more you tap into intrinsic motivations, the happier you'll be with the home you end up purchasing, right? So it's important to take time, maybe find a quiet space and time, and maybe do some journaling and envision your future home and kind of wave a magic wand. What would it look like and feel like to you? Not to your mom or dad or auntie or older sibling or grandparent, but what would it feel like to you to feel truly content in your own home? And there's no right or wrong answer, right? It's your answer. And I would say literally jot down some bullet points and imagine yourself in a space that truly feels like home, where you can come home and feel happy about calling this place home. And then I think once you make that bullet point list, you can then extrapolate it into a real home search, and that'll help narrow things down. Because if you just go by what you hear on social media or the latent pressure from parents, or maybe not so latent, right? Maybe very obvious pressure from parents, you might end up in a home that's not right for you. It might be too big of a home. It might be a home in the wrong neighborhood, just because the neighborhood came up on some top 5 list or top 10 list. Maybe it's not the right fit for you, right? Maybe you won't get along with the neighbors. Maybe your kids will feel too stressed out in the blue ribbon schools with a lot of helicopter parents and, and tiger parents. Put aside the stuff that everyone else thinks you should be, focusing on, and think about what is right for you and what you should be focusing on. And frankly, I think you'll be happier with the result. So I know this is not a video you were expecting to hear from a real estate agent on social media, but I felt it was valuable to share my thoughts with you on this. Thanks for watching.